So yeah, this dry year brings some additional challenges as if we needed more. But I basically wanted to come up here and let you know that we are prepared, right? Ditches are dry more often and longer, and they can be more prone and seem to be more prone to damage when they suddenly receive large inflows from either arroyos or just us diverting from our upstream network. As you can see in the photos, we've already experienced some damage of our facilities. Some of those are up in Cochiti, and one is the Sabinal Acequia, I believe, down in Belen. Right now, we're making sure that we understand what we can do before, clearly defined roles during an event, and then learning from what happened afterwards. I've split it out in this table as like before, during, and after a storm event, major or otherwise. And the major players are water distribution or irrigation distribution, which is Matt, his ISS and ISO teams, and our divisions, our maintenance and construction divisions. So before a storm, ISOs and divisions, they communicate about what is operating, what ditches are on, and where water is moving. Our water team monitors forecasts and field conditions. Basically, they are our eyes and ears. They throttle ditches when needed, make sure wasteways are operating, and basically communicate if they've needed to route water in unexpected locations, because the divisions are often doing repair work or maintenance in certain locations. What our divisions tend to be really good at is focusing and understanding on our vulnerable areas, places that they've had to come back to several times to repair after certain storm events. So yeah, they stage equipment, they inspect problem areas before. So yeah, so that's before. During a storm, the goal is to manage the problem operationally first. Quickly, the ISO team will recognize when that isn't enough, and they'll put a call into our division managers or their supervisors to mobilize crews when needed. ISOs manage the water, and then our maintenance division manages the physical response. They're both informed by each other, but our ISOs, like I said, eyes and ears within their respective zones. They elevate conditions to the divisions, who may be called out overnight sometimes to clear debris, sediment, or repair a bank. We've seen a lot of issues with gophers this year, as the water is, more often than not off in a certain ditch. They make the the channel just a little bit harder to turn back on. Like I said, larger events can require all-night support. Life and safety, though, come first. Sometimes the safest response is to just wait, and often our division offices or our division crews will do so. So this leads us into after storm. Maintenance divisions prioritize cleanup based on the communication they're getting from the ISOs on prioritizing where water needs to be now that they've started things back up again. The water team provides this information and submits like ditch break reports to capture what took place. Because these events in the past have become catalysts for partnerships and funding. So even engineering will capture data and evaluate if there's like a bigger picture fix. The goal here is to make each problem a learning experience, to target and identify our mitigation strategies. So we're just responding better. We're not just responding better, faster. We're preventing what we can based on what we learn. So with that, I'm happy to stand for questions on monsoon ops.
Directors? Alicia, I spent a career in monsoon operations, and it was 99% boredom, and then you had the 3 nights out of the year where, good God Almighty, now in the newspaper today, in the weather section, they talk about Hurricane Allen hitting Texas and dropping 15 inches of rain today. Hurricane Allen came up to Albuquerque on August 14th, 1980, and dropped 4.5 inches of rain over major pieces of the Northeast Heights and put the largest flow on record down the North Diversion channels, almost 12,000 CFS. Well, the chief engineer of the AMAFCA was out that night, like we all did.
Yeah.
Just before I went to work there. And Rich Leonard sees the water in the channel going under the railroad bridge down at the levee, recirculating. He goes, wait a minute, that's not right. This is a flood control channel. It should all be shooting out to the river. He does a detailed report on it and tells the Corps of Engineers, and they say, no, you're crazy. It couldn't have done that. This ends up with a hydraulic lab model done at the Waterways Experiment Station in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The model was bigger than this room from pictures I saw of it. And dang, the Corps discovers they have a major design defect at the bottom end of the North Diversion Channel. That led to a little bit of embarrassment, but they fixed it, and it was a relatively minor fix. But the point I'm making here is it's those people out during a storm watching systems work, and especially the flood control aspect. You got to be out there when it's raining or you don't see those kinds of things happening. So if any of those ISOs are complaining about getting called out,
no, I would say based on what I've seen, our ISOs, ISSs, and divisions are super responsive. They care very much, and they do like to be eyes and ears on the ground. They see a lot. You're right.
And my kids used to go, oh my God, Dad, do we have to go out with you in the truck tonight? Anyway.
Safety first.
Safety.
Yeah, so they both got into the water business in different routes without being an engineer. So they probably did better than I did. Any questions on monsoon ops? Okay, let's roll on to our projects.
Perfect. So I am going to start, we have our Loretta Road project, which is, I'll start with the good news. Lopez Precision finished the interior drain crossing back in June. And yes, it's a part of a bigger effort, but they completed it in a very short turnaround time. And so we are really grateful for that. Yeah, like I said, Lopez Precision did this one. We have our funding sources from multiple different places, but this funding source was expiring our capital outlay grant. So we decided to spend it in advance of starting everything else. So yes, we're very proud of it. That's what it looks like. That's a current drone image from yesterday. Yeah, that's phase one.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out that on the slopes of that's concrete, and he did a good job. It looks like dirt. It's really hard to tell that sloped concrete is sloped concrete. It looks like dirt.
San Diego buff.
It's San Diego buff, as requested.
I appreciate that.
Make the slope look like dirt.
Yes. Okay.
So, Alicia, I had a question from a constituent. In the final project with Star, will the entire open space parking lot be gravel plated?
See, I don't think we've gotten that far yet. The focus of our next phase is the intersection and the left turn signaling. I think it's possible. We just have to figure out where we come out on the funding side, at least up for this phase.
Mr. Chairman, currently I do not believe we would have enough funding for the whole parking lot. That was but if the money goes further than we think it will, it'll obviously be, we'll get it all spent. And if we have money left over for this from the signal work, we'll definitely gravel as much of it we can afford.
So where are we at with the highway department?
Yes, there, a few months back, we recognized, based on what they told us, that we need to obtain 5 certs. There's been significant amount of design and coordination on this project, basically there's improvements to that intersection, our access, the parking area, pedestrian accessibility, the light, it's a lot. But we have successfully completed getting those certifications issued. We are starting just today, actually, we're making sure that between us, the Bernalillo County, and BHI, who's our consultant services on this, we're making sure that everyone understands their roles on this project. We're intending the Bernalillo County to take over project management support. This is where we kind of hand over what we've done to them with BHI and act purely as a fiscal agent. They've assigned a project manager, Damian Luna, from their technical services side at the county, and he's fully on board, fully invested. We talked this morning. Basically, the NMDOT has to just issue us the PO, which they expect to do next week. And after that, the anticipated start date for star paving is the 18th of this month. At that point, we're estimating, it's an estimate at this point, that December of this year is going to be the end date of the project. But yes, they're going to prioritize getting the long lead time items purchased as early as possible. But the most urgent task, getting those certifications, is complete at the moment.
Will there be any balloon fiesta implications for traffic control that we have to deal with?
Director Kelly, yes. We've been told there is a moratorium on, I believe it was September 26th timeframe. The contractor is well aware. They still feel very confident as of this morning that they could work outside of those timeframes. But they might have to pause, come back for a few punch list things, and then yeah, be done. They could get the vast majority of the work done before that.
And stores holding their prices?
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, remember, as part of the pause, the contractor, in waiting for the permits, the contractor was authorized to go ahead and make the order for the mast arms, the long lead items. So some of that stuff we're not waiting for anymore because one, we've got time to order it. And then from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, please, yeah, so our hope is that they're in and out. Don't know if the signal will be operational by Balloon Fiesta. It'd be sure nice to let everybody in that parking lot for Balloon Fiesta through that entrance, but I don't know if we'll be fully there.
Keep you posted, yes. Yeah, the project itself right now is well defined. But yeah, our job is to basically get those funding requirements past the finish line. I know there's been a lot of misalignment here, but we're all coming together. I think now that the NMDOT fully understands, Bernalillo County, ourselves, and BHI is our consultant, yeah, we're getting this across the finish line. Any questions on that one?
No more questions for me.
Okay. Perfect. Corrales Siphon. Okay, so I have Dan Aguirre and Luke Smith from Wilson and Company with me here tonight. I'm going to spend a few minutes just going over where we are right now and what we've been working through recently. And then I'm going to turn it over to Dan and or Luke to talk about the path forward. Jumping off of last month's update, the project was awarded in October of 25, received its notice to proceed for mobilization around January. We've been moving through construction since then into what is probably the most difficult part of construction, the horizontal directional drilling operation. Basically, a few months ago, we ran into an issue with the stuck auger as we started that pilot drill, the first pass under the river. We reassessed, realigned the casing. The new casing was put in successfully last month. As we prepared for the second attempt at the pilot drill, the contractor encountered subsurface conditions that they really weren't expecting, just a lot of gravel, stuff that wouldn't hold up as competent material for that pilot to drill through, especially right at the end of that casing. So the team stopped, evaluated what we were seeing, and developed a plan. While we had a geotech report, conditions underground will always be somewhat of a mystery. The good news here is that the contractor collected a lot of detailed information on the material as they started that pilot. So they, as well as our consultant, are confident that 40 extra feet of casing is the right amount to hit that competent material. And basically set that pilot bore on the correct and accurate path as it navigates like 80 feet underground. Right now, the additional casing and hammer are mobilized to the site, and the contractor is ready to continue installing 40 extra feet so they can reattempt that pilot bore. Schedule has remained the same, end of December this year. While we don't have final numbers, there are costs associated with this change, and I'll have an update for you as we work through exactly what those are. Again, this is a good opportunity, I think, to hand it off to Dan to elaborate our next steps, because there are a few going forward, or Luke, or whoever.
Sure. Alicia kind of told you where we are. So so when they started the pilot hole, and the first time we got the auger stuck just cleaning out the casing. We didn't even get to the pilot hole, right? This one we got cleaned out. We started the pilot hole. They ran about 40 foot of pure cobble at the end of the casing, and so that, and then they hit competent material, and then he ran the auger, or the pilot hole drill, a little extra length to gather data. So we met out there to talk about just exactly what would happen. So if you can picture, pulling a thread through a bag of marbles, that's what they're worried about. If we start pulling that pipe back through the cobbles, that it will move up and then get hung up on the casing. And so the issue was that those cobbles were right at the end of the casing, and we're at an angle. And as we start to pull it, they're afraid it would come up. Because one of our biggest questions was, well, okay, we've got 1,300 feet to go, and if we hit cobbles again, what happens to us? And the driller said, well, it's not a problem once we are away from the casing and we have the drill moving forward, because if it moves outside of the casing, we're okay with that pipe moving up and down. It was just that the casing is right there, and if we hang that pipe up on the casing, it could give us a lot of problems, or maybe even get stuck, which even pulling out the drill, they got stuck on the casing just a little bit. So it moved up itself, and it's centered. So the whole reason for that casing is to center the drill as we get it going, and gives us a good path. So that's where we are. I would say same as last time. The team came together, Compass, your prime contractor, and their subs, DH Underground, who is the company that pushed in the two casings originally. They're off the job site, but they jumped in and helped get us two pieces of pipe, which was a big deal to get these two. They're two 20-foot segments of the 6-foot diameter steel casing. It's an inch thick. So if you think about how heavy and big that piece of casing is, so they got those delivered within 2 weeks. They got delivered on Friday, the two pieces we needed. Today they've been spending the time welding them on. So if you think about a 6-foot diameter pipe, it's about 19 foot of a weld in order to get it connected to the piece in the ground. And then so they had about 40 foot of welding to do today to get it ready so they can hammer it tomorrow. We have been notifying the public so that they know we're going to be pushing again for a couple hours a day for the next couple days to get that casing and get it advanced through the gravel. Once we get through the gravel, then we'll start again with the pilot hole. And then we should be back on track with basically kind of what you've heard from us before. We'll start with the 6-inch or 8-inch diameter pilot hole. And hopefully this time we go all the way across, and then we'll start the process of reaming it up to the 54-inch diameter and then be able to pull the pipe through. We are working with the contractor to look at everything that we can do parallel so that we have to keep everything on schedule. It's like if there's any adjustments we can do and build things in parallel to while this is happening and get ahead of some of the pieces, and working with your team as well on the time when the water gets turned off on the ditch, because that gives us a little leeway. There's no water in it right now, so, but yeah, so it's been a great team effort. I would give John Thieler, who works with DH Underground, he went out of his way to get those 2 pieces of pipe, and he didn't have to because he doesn't have any work left on the job. But we made a call to him, and without that, it could have delayed us a month or more from Compass or the drillers that are out there, NPL. Their suppliers couldn't get us a pipe that quick. And so we definitely had somebody help us there. And then NPL, who's doing the pilot hole drilling, they stayed on site, and they brought their hammer from Chicago, and they're going to hammer the pipe in. So again, like everybody's been pitching in. So, the whole team wants this to happen. We just keep running into one little thing after another. And we saw the unconsolidated material in the sounding. The borehole really close to this location didn't show it, which I don't know, John, we drilled a dam that we thought was no rock, and we hit rock, 5 feet from the hole we drug. And that feel like that's what's happening to us here. We hit these cobbles. It was shown as unconsolidated materials. We didn't expect it to be a 40-foot pocket of just pure cobble. When they pulled it out, it was 4-inch to 9-inch or rock, and not much dirt with it. It was just pure cobble came out. So that's where we are. We hope to push the casing in the next 2 to 3 days, have that ready, and then it'll take us a couple days to clean the rock out of it. And then we'll start the pilot hole next week, and they think they can get it in by the end of next week if everything, once again, goes well. We're still on track to be on schedule.
So does the casing stay in place, or?
The casing stays in place.
So we've got a pretty big chunk of iron down there we're paying for that'll be there forever.
It'll be there forever, yes, sir.
And then when they're doing the horizontal bore, that will be full of drilling fluid to keep and that mix has been approved, and they don't have any qualms about changing the mix to for different underground conditions or anything?
Yeah, Chairman Kelly, yeah, it doesn't change any of the design. We talked about one solution being just to inject some of that material, some bentonite, into the gravel and drill through it, which on a vertical well we've done. But because it was so long, he was worried that, that would cause problems for us. So if it was if we had only hit, 5 foot or 3 foot of cobbles, we could have had that maybe a different solution. But because it was 40 foot, we're going to just put this casing through it, clean it, and then go again.
And the pilot drill went beyond that 40 feet into good material. How far?
They talked about going 5 to 10 feet into the material, which my question to them is, are you comfortable that we have enough? And the driller said, yeah, we're good. So we questioned them pretty hard about, and this time we sat out there with the driller and not just our consultant, but, talking to the guys doing the work, and said, what did you see? How do you feel? Are we going to make it across? And I had the real question about, well, what if we hit cobble coming back up the other side? And he said, that's not a problem. If it moves a little bit in that cobble, it doesn't, we might have to adjust our our end at the top, but it's not going to keep us from pulling the pipe through if it's moving a little bit. And the spec allows the pipe to move basically about 10 feet. So we give a lot of flexibility in what that pipe can do. So.
Dan, it might be worth explaining because like the hard part's getting it drilled through because once you start pulling, they just keep pulling until they get it across, right? Once they start, they're going to try to pull that thing all the way through in one day. So like once you start pulling through, that thing's going to fill that gap. And it's not like they're going to be pulling and stopping and leaving it there for a long time and trying to hook up and keep pulling. When they start like the tough part's getting over to them and getting hooked up because when they come back for that final pull through and they're pulling that pipe back through, they're pulling the whole thing and they're going to keep attaching ends and they're going to probably pull most of that.
Stop till they're done when they start.
They will pull through and get it all the way through. So
they told us that they'll pull. It might take a 12-hour day, but they will pull the whole pipe through in one day. What we have is that you have the 8-inch pilot hole, and then they'll come back. That comes out clean. Then they'll go with a 30-inch reamer. That comes back. They go with a 48-inch reamer. That comes back out. They go with a 54-inch. Then they put they call it a mop, but basically they come back through and make sure it's clean and clean it up. And it does, put the fluids and then they'll go through and grab the pipe and pull it. So it takes us a while to get to the big enough hole because they do it a little bit at a time. And then they'll be ready to pull the whole pipe through.
And as they're through in the deeper end, there's fluid in there.
There's fluid.
Correct.
Yeah.
To help with it's not like the hole is sitting underground with nothing in it.
Yes.
And the pipe is fusion welded?
It is fusion welded. Yep. Yeah.
That's the pipe I see up there south of 550 on the levee?
Yes, sir. That's Chairman Kelly. That's the pipe that's out there.
It's big and heavy enough where nobody's walked off with it.
They take a chair out there and just watch them pull.
I want to say that pipe is a couple inches thick. I don't think you're moving it unless you bring some machinery. Yeah. Pretty big chunks of pipe.
So directors, we have a resolution that establishes Jason's contracting authority. And on a construction job, he's able to approve change orders up to any amount for existing bid items as needed to get the job done. So there won't be an action by the board to approve a change order on this. And we do this so we're able to move things along so there's no delays waiting for the board to meet. We will be informed on how much it was. But Pam assures me we have plenty of money in the budget and we'll find it elsewhere because this project's got to get done. So.
Chairman Kelly and directors, we all agree. And the driller too. He's like, we're here till it's done. And I said, yeah, we appreciate that. And we want it done. We're all in it to make it happen. And I will be back next month. I'm going to keep coming back and I hope I'm going to come back with a lot better news the next time. So. Thank you.
Directors, questions?
Just one question, just to clarify, the casing is on the west side. And that's like the anchor that holds everything to get through these cobbles. And you said if it's over on the east side and there's more cobbles, we're not too concerned because we'll just pull through that. But I guess when you ream it from the back, if you hit a bunch of cobbles and you ream it, wouldn't that just collapse in on itself?
Chairman Kelly, Director. Yeah, so once we get it all the way through, that is correct. The casing is on the west side and we are drilling across to the east side. But once they pull back, they're not worried because the fluids there is drilling fluids in there and it will compact it a little bit along that hole. If it does, some of the cobbles do fall in. If we do hit another one, the machinery will continue to clean those out. It's going to be that last, what I call like the last mopping, that will be the piece that they'll get it clean enough to just pull the pipe behind it. So they just continue to clean it. Each one of which is why we do it in those small pieces one at a time, so that we can continue to clean it and get the fluids, in the hole.
So the viscosity of this fluid has some buoyancy that pushes out the walls to hold it.
Yes, sir.
When you take out all the material. Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, remember it's a smaller pipe that's going to be pulled back through too. So it's not going to be so tight that a little bit of that smaller material at that point in time, compared to the risk of hanging it up by hitting that cobble at the casing as it sits right now.
So your last ream is 54 inches, and what's the OD of the service pipe?
Chairman Kelly, it's a 42-inch pipe. Now, OD is probably about 46 inches.
So you have a little bit of,
We have a little room, yeah, for it to come through.
okay.
I hope.
Dan, thank you for coming today, and this will be one of these projects we talk about 2 years from now, as what a good job it was.
Yes. Yeah, no, Dan and Wilson and Company have been great, including the contractor. We've all gone through a lot, it sounds like, on this one, and they are definitely in it for the long haul till we get to the end. So thank you. I have one more for you. We are also working on Feeder 3, pump station phase 1. For this one, I have Carl Dessinger with BHI here. He's our project engineer working with Nathan Roberts and Angie as our MRGCD project manager on this one. So just kind of a recap, this is a strategic system flexibility project that will benefit about 2,300 acres downstream of Feeder 3. This is an area which is impacted during low water years when it's difficult to run water all the way down the Belen Highline. So that your picture on the right is the Belen Highline main canal, or sorry, the Feeder 3, which is fed mainly by the Belen Highline. Then you have the junction on the left side of several different canals. This is basically going to connect the Belen Riverside drain, pushing water back upstream to the Garcia Extension, Sabinal Lateral number 1, Hadal Lateral number 1, and the Rio Grande. This can push water back out to the river at this point. So to date, since January, we've run about 5,000 linear feet of 36-inch, mainly PVC line down the Feeder 3 canal. This also included a jack and bore operation underneath the roadway and the railroad. We're almost done with phase 1. The remaining work involves AUI as our contractor on this one, installing 4 butterfly valves and then one of their air relief valves near the downstream side of this, so near the river side, so east, sorry. So yeah, AUI did a great job up to this point, and now we're thinking forward to phase 2. Talking with our water team, we've informed BHI that what we need is up to 60 CFS capacity, using water down to that 5 CFS level in 5 CFS increments. This has definitely guided the pump selection, and we had to fine tune that based on those needs. We're currently working through a Build America, Buy America waiver because we don't feel like we can get these pumps in the United States, but Carl's here to outline our plan for like pump selection, and then just a general outline of our remaining work on phase 2. So Carl, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. So yeah, I think Alicia pretty much well summarized construction that's currently almost complete under phase 1. I would like to say that project's been extremely successful so far. The biggest hiccup has been the lead times on these valves that remain to be installed. Phase 2, we're looking forward to working with you all to get under construction as soon as possible, really. It's been made pretty clear to us with the engineering team that we would like the system fully operational by March of 2028, and I think we are well on track to have this ready for procurement in the next several weeks, if not months, or sorry, backwards. months, if not weeks.
I'll hold you to the first one.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, we're working on the final design, and then I think we have some concurrence review to do with the engineering team for phase 2 for the pump station and the installation of the pumps and equipment themselves. Those pumps are going to be submersible sewage rated pumps. They are made in Germany. There's really nothing domestically very similar to these pumps. The major benefit being that they can pass a 5-inch diameter spherical solid without any clogging. So they really, we believe, are a great benefit to the Conservancy from a maintenance and operations perspective, as they are pretty simple in construction. The casing can be separated from the impeller pretty easily. They can be pulled with an excavator, simple excavator that you all own and maintain, and they should be able to basically be maintained, repaired, operated by you all without any consultant needs. So from our perspective, they provide that type of operation flexibility. The other benefit of these pumps, I don't know if you all recall, when we started this project in the planning phase, we were really targeting the upper limit of this design criteria, the 60 CFS. I think we've since revisited, probably particularly because of the drought we're seeing, that the minimum condition is really the focus, right? We want to be able to operate this system when there's very little water available. These pumps, now that we've kind of finalized this criteria and selection, have the flexibility to do that entire range from 5 CFS to 60 CFS. It's just the number of pumps that you'll be operating. So one pump can do anywhere between 5 and 12.5 CFS. And then with all 4, you basically get up to 60, a little bit more than that. So we believe this is basically the cream of the crop in terms of pumps for this correct application.
Who's the manufacturer of these in Germany?
These would be KSB pumps. So yeah, they're casing impeller centrifugal pumps, submersible wet cooled. So they basically circulate the water that they're pumping to cool the motor themselves. And they'll obviously be installed with all the instrumentation necessary to provide any stop points.
Will they all be set at the same elevation in the wet well?
Correct, yeah. They're going to be constructed within a concrete structure, so they'll all be set at the same finished floor, same centerline elevation.
And is there a trash rack on going into the wet well?
Yep. So as I mentioned, they can pass a 5-inch spherical solid, but we're planning to put a trash rack grating with, I think, about a 7/8 inch opening. So you shouldn't even really see that large of a object in there, right? So in theory, you wouldn't get any clogging on these ever.
Are you concerned that the 7/8 trash rack is going to clog up? Is there an automatic rake on it or anything, or?
So I'd have to work with the structural engineer. We don't have that considered right now, but it's going to be pretty low set in terms of the canal. So I would be pretty confident in saying that the buildup that you'd be concerned about would be downstream, because water should carry it above the floor of the structure.
Thanks, Ron. Chair Kelly. Just to touch on maintenance and what we see on the maintenance side will also play into that conversation. We can always, this is the point where we can still reconsider the things like that, sizing of the grates. But yes, frequency of maintenance is something that we have been asking BHI to consider, and they have been, so we can continue those conversations.
And we'll have a nice catwalk there for the guy with the potato rake to clean it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So we will be bringing a procurement request to the board in September for the purchase of the pumps. Is that what I heard?
That is the goal, yes.
That is and that is the plan. It is dependent on that Build America, Buy America waiver. We had one that expired, and there's a change in their process. So Carl's been helping us along with Angie from our side figure out what they're asking for now and reshape our information to get that waiver back. Because yeah, we, like Carl said, there's nothing we could find in the states that met those criteria.
What kind of tariff are we paying on that pump?
I wish I had that information off the top of my head.
Well, this is another project that's gonna have a huge benefit to a whole bunch of farmers down in an area that's been underserved, given the drought we've been in, so.
A little bit more.
Yeah, so
I think it's
from the planning document. That
And there's 5,000 feet of pipe is what you said?
4,800, but yeah, about 5,000, which is a feat.
Yeah, all said and done, it'll be about 5,200 total.
So are these butterfly valves motor operated?
No, they are not, because they are extremely large, and you'd be talking about a very deep, very expensive, very large actuator. The intent is for them to remain open. I mean, you really shouldn't need to be using them to isolate the pipeline in general.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, the primary discharge is always going to be at the top of the feeder 3 and letting us use because it was more expensive to try to create multiple different discharge points. So the point is that we still may need to isolate the system one day. We don't know for sure. We wanted to have some level of control on that valve system. But if everything's working properly, we're pumping this water up to the top of feeder 3 and letting it cascade down the existing system, because we need to get into the Garcia, and then then it'll work its way back down to the Haral and the other ditch that's there. So we're using gravity in the existing system that we have as much as possible, limiting the number of new structures and valving and complexity to create multiple discharge points.
So the force main is just to the east of I-25, the end of it?
Yeah, so I think you can see it on the structure. No, that you don't see it right
just
there.
below or just
Yeah.
above these cascade step structures on the right-hand photo.
Yeah, so they are east. They are about 250 to 300 feet east of I-25.
Okay.
There's a big, if you're out there and you go take a look, there's a structure built for the water to come into and overflow into the feeder 3.
Mhm.
That was all part of phase 1.
Go get these pumps ordered.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have today in general. So any additional questions?
Any further questions for Alicia? Thank you for your presentation. Okay.